RDMS.
Whenever I do fight again, I need Christian Reynoso there on commentary. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Reynoso. Christian Reynoso here. Took a little hiatus, had to go get a new ACL, had to go feel sorry for myself a little bit, but we are back, and we are back with a bang. How's this for a guest for a comeback? 24-time UFC veteran, karate combat heavyweight champion of the world, also their first ever double champ, the one, the only Smilin Sam Alvey. Sam, thank you for joining, my friend.
Hey, how are you, my friend? Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Don't be silly, brother. This is great. Like I said before we jumped on, I've had such a privilege to work with people that I admired a lot. I've been a longtime fan of yours. We got to commentate together in the past. I've wanted to pick your brain. And what better time than right now? Because it's got to be pretty good to be Smilin Sam Alvey right now.
Hey, life is good. I got a beautiful family, and I'm the double champ of the world. So I'm feeling great.
Yeah, there's a lot to dissect there, because not only are you the first double champ Karate Combat has ever seen, Karate Combat is currently formulated an 8-man tournament, which is essentially based all around taking a shot at the champ, getting a shot to vie for that heavyweight title that you hold. So right now, Karate Combat's on the precipice of their first ever 8-man tournament. Some huge names that we're going to discuss in just a minute. But again, all these guys vying for a shot at Smilin Sam. How does it feel to go from being the hunter to the hunted?
This is crazy. Like, I look at the size of these guys, I look at their records, I look at what they've done. Whoever wins this tournament, they get a shot at me. And I'm going to train my ass off for it, because they are some big boys. I like to think I hit hard, but they got 275 pounds behind their punches.
Yeah, some big guys that have made a splash in Karate Combat, and some big guys that have made a splash in other organizations. We're going to go through the whole bracket later, but some names that just stand out to me, and you tell me some names that are kind of at the forefront of your mind right now. Obviously, Robelis de España is a name that, not necessarily a poster boy because he's not quite the champ, but, you know, Karate Combat's put a lot of energy behind Robelis, and he's been nothing short of sensational. I don't think he spent more than 12 seconds in the Karate Combat pit yet.
I did. So he's had 3 fights, 3 first-round knockouts, and I believe it's 25 seconds is what he's had. And actually, even more impressive than that, so his overall record, he's 8-2. Of his 8 victories, he's only been out of the first minute once.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So how's that? They pit him against Saulo Cavallari, a Glory veteran, who's got, you know, so much experience. I think he's got 13 wins just as a striker. There's one part of the bracket. So killers right to get the ball rolling. We roll on. Tim Johnson, Chase Sherman. Tim Johnson, finalist in the PFL tournament. Chase Sherman, I think he had 14 fights in the UFC. Also having a lot of success as a striker now.
Yeah, he's got some heavy hands, and he's a big dude. I've gotten to meet him once. Big, real friendly guy too. Johnson's funny though, because he's like a real big guy. But he was a finalist in the PFL tournament, so he went into, and it was short notice too. Like someone fell off and said, "You want it? Come on." He went in there and he won. He earned his spot. And so that fight of the first round, I do think that is going to be the best fight of the first round of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, any one of these fights, I feel like if they took a bag and scrambled all the names, it really doesn't matter how it turns out. Like, almost any one of these matchups could be a final, you know, a match in the final.
Yeah,
just killers.
And I love, so I UFC used to do it forever ago, and I love when you have all the fights in one night. I got to do it once. My last night as an amateur was 3 fights in one night, and it was so much fun. I actually begged the UFC or Karate Combat to let me do 2 fights in one night again when I was trying to find a fight to defend my titles with. So I will fight 2 guys. Let me fight one. Let me fight the other. It is so much fun knowing that you have another fight coming up right behind it.
Yeah, you would say that. You're the same guy that I saw was chomping at the bit to get inside the cage and fight with armor and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I get it. You're that guy. I get it. I get it. So let's talk about that a little bit as we progress on in the bracket, because I'm going to talk about some other fighters. Maybe let me know if you think any of these fighters' style or history lends themselves particularly to this style of fighting more than one time in the night, because it takes a certain type of fighter, a certain type of toughness, and even a certain type of style potentially, to succeed in this sort of format.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. The one, I mean, Robelis his style is built for this. He made it to the UFC. He was 1-2 in the UFC, and he people were scared of his hands, so they just took him down. And it turns out Taekwondo is not great against wrestlers. Well, now you don't have to worry about the wrestling. Now you are just a Taekwondo bronze medalist in the Olympics, fighting people that are a lot smaller, doing a lot slower than you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, obviously, that's definitely going to lend itself to that style, right? If you're good at getting in and out and you're fighting more than one time in a night, you want to keep them short, right? You're not getting paid for the hour.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another guy in the bracket that definitely is good at getting the job done quick. Alan Belcher, another guy who's had a huge resurgence since his tenure in the UFC, much like yourself, has climbed up the weight classes, really settled in as a heavyweight. He made big noise in bare knuckle boxing. Now coming over to karate combat, and he's taking on another stud in Zach Pauga, tough dude from the UFC. He's also fighting in striking now. He's doing dirty boxing. Let's talk about that matchup and those fighters.
I love the Alan Belcher. Watching Alan Belcher fight, he's one of the toughest dudes I've ever seen step in any sort of combat sport. He just goes out there and he hits hard, he kicks hard. He's not worried about getting hit himself. I'm looking forward to being ringside as he steps into into that pit 3 times in one night. I'm predicting.
Excellent. As we said, he's taking on Zach Pauga, another guy that after leaving the UFC, was more than willing to try something different. And I think that's something that we obviously see across the board at Karate Combat. Somebody like yourself, guys like Alan, guys that aren't willing to step outside of the comfort zone, potentially MMA being that comfort zone, right? And stepping into these deep, uncharted waters of new organizations, new styles, new rule sets. And you guys are kind of all checking those boxes and really succeeding. Another guy transitioning from the big stage, Daniel James. He made noise in Bellator. He made noise in the PFL. I think he has an 80-inch reach.
Yeah.
He's a local guy. I see him around at the events. The dude's a legit monster. He's taking on Braxton Smith, another guy with I think he's 100% finishing rate. Exciting way to close out the bracket.
Yeah. So I believe Braxton had one fight in the UFC. And Braxton is the smallest man in the tournament. He's 5'11". I think the next shortest is 6'3". However, after his one stint in the UFC, he popped. USADA caught him. And I'm pretty sure he popped for everything that's ever been made. If you see this man, the beautiful monster is his name. He looks like a beautiful This man is just, I've never seen somebody as shredded as him. So he, being the smaller gentleman in the ring, I mean, smaller than the height, he's probably stronger than the rest of them combined. He might have his back up against the cage, seeing how that muscle holds up over 3 fights, but I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And not just that, not just the UFC fight and all those finishes. I'm pretty sure that back in December, he already headed over to bare knuckle. He had a KO win over there. So he's not afraid to let him fly, right? And we're going to see that.
All these big guys, they hit so hard. So bare knuckle, karate combat, stuff like that just lends itself to it. You don't have to worry about the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's perfect transition, friend. Like I said, watching your resurgence in this stage of the career has been nothing short of inspiring. Now I'm going to properly fanboy out, bro. I remember you fighting in the XFO back in the day. And these are organizations that I was familiar with. And I was like, man, when you popped off and you made your run in Bellator and then the Ultimate Fighter, I think you were still a welterweight at the time.
So I was the only welterweight ever on the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay,
right. It was a mistake to do, but yeah.
So I got to see, and I remember when you came back to the UFC after your tenure in the Ultimate Fighter. You came back as a middleweight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because you didn't just come back as a middleweight. You came back and had great success as a middleweight. You know, wins over Rashad Evans, Gianni Vellante. You were around for a long time in the UFC. And then you continue to climb that weight into the light heavyweight, into the heavyweight division. Is that something that you realized was something that you're going to want to do as you carried on throughout your UFC career?
At this point, I think most of my career has been at light heavyweight. My first like 12 fights and on my recent bunch of last fights have been light heavyweight. UFC, I went up to light heavyweight again. I'm a big enough dude. I'm a strong enough dude to be able to do it. But middleweight really was the sweet spot. 170 I did twice and never again. That was just a TV show they asked. So I was never a welterweight. Like my plan was I'll win the show and then I'm immediately going up to 85. I was not gonna stay there. Middleweight was fun when I had a good run there when they didn't have a fight for me. I was trying to get something booked, said, I've got nothing. I said, well, shoot it. If it helps, I'll fight at 205. Said, okay, we got someone for you. So I fought at 205. And I was undersized. My UFC stint at 205, I was undersized. Those boys get big. So at the end of my UFC, I went back down to middleweight. And then as soon as I left the UFC, I've just been lifting everything. I don't have to worry about getting hurt. So I'm lifting as if I don't care if I get hurt. And that's, I just, every morning of the week, I spend an hour and a half in the gym lifting weights before I go to my jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and Dutch kickboxing and boxing.
Yeah, and I know, because when I commentate next to you, I kind of have to really puff myself a little bit. I mean, I'm a tiny guy as it is, but bro, you're yoked nowadays. So let's keep going to the trajectory, right? So you head over, I think it was September of 2023, you made your karate combat debut. You took on Adam Rosa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when you beat him, as your fan, I was like, oh, holy smokes, Smilin Sam 2.0, right? But it really did become that. I mean, shortly after that, you fight Ross Levine, you win the title, you have the fights against Arroyo. But that really was the beginning of something special. Did you feel that something special was happening at the time?
No, I knew how good I was. I knew, in my head, every fighter, when they lose, they make a million excuses. I never voiced my excuses, but in my head, it's like, oh, the judges, screw them. Oh, the referees, screw them. And I knew how good I was. I knew I could go into any gym in the world and be maybe the best person in the gym. I wasn't ready to give it up. I wasn't ready to leave on that skid I had at the end of my UFC career. So I just had to go out there and prove it. Now, a big part of the way I fought, I've always fought. I'm a counter striker. I've always backed up to the cage and knocked them out there. The pit, I can't do it. In karate combat, they have that pit. If I back up, I'll fall over. It has forced me to come forwards. It has forced me to move more laterally. Against my last one, against Tyrone Spong, maybe the greatest kickboxer to have ever lived, he was doing a good job of cutting off the cage, so I moved like I've never moved before. It forced me to kick. I truly do blame the pit for making me the fighter I am right now. It just added that one little thing to my repertoire of fighting ability, and that pit just it's a sweet spot.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing, and it's so exciting because karate combat's still, relatively newer, right? It's still growing, and we're watching. The quality of the fights have always been great, but they continue to get better as the fighters, learn the pit. And like it's apparent in the fights that we're getting, and it's just so exciting to watch this evolution happening like before our eyes.
It's so much fun, and it's taken over jiu-jitsu. The pit is, and it's more fun. It is more fun to watch fights in the pit than it is in the cage. I was just at the UFC here in Nashville 2 days ago, and it was fun. I love it. I love the UFC, but the cage is a hindrance to watching the fights. I had the best seats in the house, and I was still looking at the screen all night. And then the pit takes that out of it. The pit, you just see everything that's happening, and I'm a big fan of it. I love the fights, and then the rule set, because there's no jiu-jitsu, you don't have to worry about the double leg. The striking, you can really just open up the world to the striking. And I would say they've introduced, it was just the traditional martial arts. Now they're opening it up to Muay Thai, and they're opening up to boxers, and they're opening up to every type of stand-up art there is, and they're really trying to become, and I believe they have, the most significant striking organization that the world has ever known.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see what's happening, and to think about what could be next, right? Like the trajectory has been unbelievable. Sky's the limit for karate combat. Sky's the limit for you too as well, my man. As I said, the resurgence continues, and I'm going to go back because you touched on something you just kind of brushed over, fighting potentially the greatest kickboxer of all time. So you become the champ. You have the fights against Arroyo. I mean, there's no denying you're the undisputed champ. And then the fight gets announced. You're fighting Tyrone Spong in Dubai. I'm your fan, buddy. I heard that, and I'm like, all right, that is indeed a heavyweight title fight. You go out there and you absolutely decimate the greatest kickboxer of all time. Silly question. Of course, that feels great. But that had to be extra validating. If there were any questions about who the heavyweight champ at the time was, I think it became very clear at that moment that it was Smilin Sam.
So I've beaten UFC Hall of Famer Rashad Evans, fought against Tal Slade, Nate Marquardt. I've got a list of guys that beat in MMA, and I've never had so much positive happen to me after a fight than after this Tyrone Spong fight. Tyrone is so well known in the striking community. I mean, people around the world have started following and started enjoying what I do. And I am just loving it. And Tyrone, he was great. I got to talk to him a little bit, a couple times before the fight, and he's a wonderful person. I hope he keeps fighting. I look forward to watching him, whoever he fights next. But it was such an honor to be able to step in the cage with someone who is as decorated as he is.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, decorated, just admired, and is just really legendary, like a true aura around the guy, Tyrone Spong.
Yeah, dude, there's not many people with more fights than me. I've got over 80. He's got over 100. He's like 110-3 or something close to it is his record. It's incredible. And most of them are by knockout.
Quite the feather in your cap, my friend.
I'm bragging about this one forever.
As well you should. A testament to, the hard work you're putting in, not just in the pit, but in the gym as well. I see the training posts. I'm gonna ask you something, bud. And we've talked about this in the past. I know you train with the elite of the elite. I saw you cornering the action man, Chris Curtis, over the weekend. I see you getting in training with guys like Sean Strickland. I'm sure there's something to the personality that a guy like Sean puts on social media. But you are the ultimate nice guy. And when I see y'all training together, I'm like, if that isn't like the odd couple of MMA, what's the dynamic like with like a brash ball buster like that? And then Smilin Sam Alvey when they're throwing fists in the training room.
So Sean is the exact same in person as he is on TV. He just happens to be on TV when he's being him. But the thing people don't realize about Sean talks a lot. Like, he doesn't shut up. Like, ever. And I am the exact opposite. Like, I'm going to talk if I have something to say or if I'm supposed to talk. But if I'm not supposed to talk, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and I'm just going to get to work. And so that, it works well because he doesn't shut up and I don't talk. So it's like the perfect combination of people. And then we've just always beaten each other up. He's the one that broke my jaw. I broke his knee. So MMA karmically, we're on par with one another. But we've been training partners for better than a decade at this point. And any chance I can go out and work with him, I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love to hear that you guys have been, in the training room for a decade right now. Obviously, both of you guys are kind of at the top of your mountains, right? He was recently the champ, and he's still up in the upper echelon. Obviously, you're surging right now, and like I said, I saw you over the weekend in the corner for Chris, who picked up a win. It's just great to see, some of these old school guys that are still putting in work and making it clear that they got plenty left in the tank. And you're willing to just go out there and test yourself against those young guys. And while we talk about the younger generation, I know that you're also very big on imparting your knowledge on that new generation, on these young guys. I see on social media, you've got this big push where you're actually communicating with a lot of the fans and imparting some of your knowledge. How about we talk about that?
Yeah, so I started an online school, SKOOL. And I've got two sites. I've got the free site where I give you so much, and I just get to talk with you guys. I get to see what you're doing. I get to really try and be part of your career. Then I've got the paid site where I do everything I can to make sure you become the next me, the next Conor McGregor, the next, John Jones. I look back at when I started fighting, I had no idea what I was doing. I turned pro and I hadn't started training yet. I really just, I didn't know anything about it. And I'm just trying to be that guy for someone else, be the guy that has done it, that knows what to do, knows how to do it. It's school, SKOOL. I've got the free site. You can look if you look at my Instagram or my TikTok, whatever, it'll take you right there. And I love this. I've met so many people from around the world that are just trying to do what I've done, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure they get there, to make sure they can make a living and have the kids and have the ranch and have everything I've got.
That's awesome, brother, because there's a lot of snake oil salesmen on social media that are kind of trying to sell you the next big how I can make you X and Y. But I see what you're doing, and what you're doing is it's real. You're taking real knowledge that you've picked up over the tenure of your career, and you're selflessly imparting it on people. And the way you can communicate with everybody, like they're just like the way you're talking to me, man. It's wonderful, and it's really appreciated.
And the other thing I do is because everyone gets, a lot of the guys get a little, it's like, oh my God, it's Sam Alvey. Every month I have one of my UFC friends on to talk with my school, with my class. They over Zoom, they talk face to face, ask whatever questions they have. Dan Henderson did it. Chris Curtis did it. Jeffrey Creighton, he's on the Ultimate Fighter right now, has done it.
Right.
Trevor Wells, he made it out. He was on Team McGregor. So I'm having all my UFC guys once a month coming on. This month is going to be Joe Daddy Stevenson. Hoping next month is going to be Sean Strickland. So if you join my school, you'll get to talk to the ex UFC champion, the title contenders, the coaches from around the world, people that have helped me get to where I am today.
That's awesome. I'll definitely make sure that we're going to have a link. I'll probably have it in my bio. Make sure that everyone heads over to SKOOL, links up with Smilin Sam. Sam, this has been so much fun, my friend. I feel like we've touched on a lot of things. Let's go ahead and circle back. Let's circle back to the tournament. I want to go through the bracket. I want some, I'm not going to say betting picks, but I may or may not pull out my DraftKings as soon as we're done.
Y'all should bet because Karate Combat is big in the crypto betting.
Actually, yes. Speaking of betting, Karate Combat is big in that. I love the way Karate Combat has their own coin. So exciting, so innovative. We might have to dabble in that after we get through your picks. Let's start. Robelis Despaigne taking on Saulo Cavallari. What do we got?
I'm taking Robelis. He's dominant. He's just too big. He's massive, and Savallo is one of the, I'll say smaller, but he's still bigger than me guys in the tournament.
Love it. Let's stay on that side of the bracket. Tim Johnson taking on Chase Sherman.
It's tricky because Johnson is the next biggest in the tournament, just under Robelis, but Chase Sherman is so experienced and he's just on a hot streak. I'm going to take Sherman, but it's my least confident pick of the night.
Excellent. Staying on this side of the bracket, let's go ahead and in a finalist on this side. That means Robelis is facing off against Chase Sherman, who's going to the finals.
Well, I'm taking Robelis again. He's just, outside of wrestling, he has shown no weakness in his 8 wins. And 8 wins as a professional. On top of that, he was an Olympic bronze medalist in Taekwondo. This sport was just built for him.
Excellent. I think you already kind of gave me your answer on this one, but Alan Belcher taking on Zach Pauga.
Yeah, I'm taking Belcher. I think he's just too mean. He gets in there and when he kicks, when he punches, it's to kill the guy, not to beat the guy.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen, he grew out this gnarly beard. I think that's going to be a factor. Continuing on in the bracket, Daniel James taking on Braxton Smith.
I want to take Braxton. I just don't have faith in his cardio. He's too muscular. So I'm going to take James. He's another big fella. And I think one of the bigger guys against one of the smaller guys will be the bigger guy's advantage.
So then we got Belcher taking on Daniel James on this side of the bracket. Belcher James.
Yeah, I'm taking Belcher. I think he cut his legs out. He's going to cut his legs out, get him moving, find a way to touch that chin. Because Belcher isn't particularly tall. He used to fight at maybe middleweight, at least 205. Now he's walking around 240. He's going to be able to catch that guy who fights with the chin up in the air.
So we got Robelis against Belcher in the finals for a shot at Smilin Sam. Who's taking a crack at your belt?
Oh, my goodness. I know. It's just... I've been thinking about it because I knew people are going to ask me. I'm leaning towards Belcher. I think he's got more experience. I think he is the much cleaner striker. He's giving up a lot of size, but everyone fights Robelis the same way. They walk out and they stand in front of him. And I don't think Belcher will do that. And the other thing, Rebels, he has had such a short time in pit experience. Like the pit isn't going to help him or hurt him. Oh, it could hurt him, but it's not going to help him. And I think Belcher's just got too much experience and the ability to hit as hard as Rebels.
Unbelievable. And then we'll have Alan the Talent Belcher taking on Smilin Sam Alvey at some potential point in the future.
Yeah. And that one will be me. I'll win that one all day.
And you're picking Smilin Sam. Yeah, fair enough.
Sam all day.
Smilin Sam, you are a gentleman. And I am just so grateful for your time, my friend. Any final thoughts or anything you want to kick out before we wrap this up, my friend?
No, hey, I love my fans. I love you guys for watching. I love you guys for watching me fight. If you ever need anything, hit me up on Instagram. I'll do the best I can to give it to you.
Fans, don't miss this opportunity to interact with the real world champion and a real good guy. Smilin Sam Alvey, all eyes this weekend on the Karate Combat 8-man tournament as these savages will all face off for a shot at the champ. Smilin Sam Alvey, thank you so much for your time, my friend. So grateful. Looking forward to tuning in this weekend. I'll see what happens.
Hey, have a good one, my friend. Thank you.